anything from Man United, the transfer news, the match day events, the preseason friendlies, anything just to do with Man United, we shall be able to be discussing it every day. So today there's been an interesting day. We have had a lot of news. We have had the Jokeres news. He's going to Arsenal, so that is that for us. So we have to think of other strikers. The strikers that we are linked to the Watkins, Sesko, even Jackson, which is a pity because we can find better. We can find better than Jackson. In terms of Sesko, RB Leipzig are willing to negotiate the price down to around 60.6 million, according to the report from CF Bayern. And that 60.3 million is a point that it's just above around 3 million above what Arsenal got Gyökeres for. So for me, I think if you consider Gyökeres is 27 and Sesko is 22, it's a good price point, especially if he can realize the potential that we see that he has. On other news, we have Javi Garcia being linked to Man United again. He rejected the recent proposal that he was given by Valencia for a contract extension. He's a very good midfielder. He's one of the top three midfielders last season in La Liga for take-ons and tackles. For those who completed 50 plus take-ons and tackles, the three top midfielders were Jude Bellingham, Pedri from Barcelona, and Javi Garcia. I think I'm butchering his name, but I think it's Javi Garcia. So those are the three players. So it's a good player. Valencia wants around 26 million pounds for him, but Man United can get him at 22 million pounds. That is according to the reports that Man United would like to get him for around 22 million pounds, but Valencia want around 26 million pounds. When he signed a new contract, he signed a contract until 2027. So you just wonder why such a good player would be going for such a small amount of small fee, but it seems Valencia are in some financial problems and might be looking to sell because in the next season, if after this season he'll only have 1 year remaining and they won't have that ability to negotiate a better fee. His release cost is around 80 to 100 million, according to FAB. When he signed a new contract, it was 100 million euros, so it's around 90 million pounds. But Valencia would be willing to negotiate at a lower fee, and Man United are really in need of a midfielder, and they could benefit from a player like Javi Garcia, who's physical, who has very good attributes. It comes to passing, it comes to take-ons, it comes to tackles. He is the perfect midfielder to complement Bruno Fernandes. Other midfielders that we have been linked with, the likes of Ederson, are a bit expensive. So in the time when we are cash strapped, we could go for a person like Javi Garcia, and he could be able to help our midfield. According to a report by Einstein, by David Ornstein in the in the recent reports in the Athletic, he said that Man United, after signing Mbomo, will go for a striker, a midfielder, and a goalkeeper. We know those are the pressing positions that we need to replace. Onana has had a horrible time in Man United, especially in that first season, where kept making mistake after mistakes. The Champions League was a very bad season, mostly because of the mistakes that the team made overall. But Onana was very culpable for some of the major howlers that we have seen from a goalkeeper. This season was supposed to be better because he would have been settled in, but just the past season, the same mistakes kept repeating themselves, including the game against Lyon, where just any shot on target could find its way into the net. So we really need a goalkeeper. We have been linked to the goalkeeper Lamens. We have also been linked to Emi Martinez, but nothing concrete so far has come on those ends. But it seems today we are talking about Sesko because Sesko would be willing to join Man United even without European football, and such a player they really come by. And if you have the striker market is getting worse because some of the biggest strikers that were in this market, the likes of Hugo Ekitike, the likes of Jokeres have already found clubs. So we need to move in for Sesko because he's a very good option. So I want your opinion on what you think about that. Can we get Sesko or probably get Watkins? Watkins, the advantage of Watkins is that he presents an opportunity to lead the line while the likes of Chidobe continue to develop and be better in future, because Chidobe can be a very good player for us, but he needs time because the pressure of performing or leading the line of Man United is too much. It needs experience, and while Sesko might not be that experienced, he's had at least 3 good seasons at the top level, which gives him an ability to handle the pressure. The pressure to Man United definitely is a different kind of pressure, but I think he can handle the pressure. And with the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha already signed, they can be able to cover the burden of scoring goals. Zaxi also can he doesn't score a lot, but he can play with Mbeumo and Cunha in a similar Firmino role. When Firmino was in the Premier League, he used to not score much, but he used to link up the play, letting Mane and Salah to score most of the goals. In the same way, Zaxi can be able to play that Firmino role, letting Cunha and Mbeumo scored the goals. Cunha had 15 goals in the last Premier League season. Mbeumo had 20 Premier League goals, so they are good enough to be able to bring in the goals that we need to be able to move up the table. We can't be finishing 15th as Man United. In all the time that I've watched Man United, this was possibly the worst season I've ever watched. Actually, it's definitely the worst season I've watched, and you can improve if you only get a striker. So Villa unfortunately value Watkins at 60 million, and for 30-year-old, that is too much. He is Premier League proven, and the chances are he can make it because he'll guarantee goals, he'll guarantee assists. But at 60 million, I think it's a bit much, considering we are trying to manage our budget and we don't have much, but we can't spend most of our budget on the striker. Of course, we'll need to make sales, the likes of Garnacho. The club has just confirmed that Rashford has gone on loan for the 2025-26 season to Barcelona. So that brings us around 14 million pounds in saved wages, because Barcelona will be paying most of his wages, and we can be able to work with that in trying to add to our transfer kit here. It's not much, but it can at least extend what we can spend. Villa are interested in Garnacho, but as many clubs, as you can see, they are playing the waiting game. They know Man United are desperate to sell, and they need to sell in order to bring in players. So they're trying to get closer towards the end of the video in the hope that his fee will go down. As you can see, Chelsea have been trying to get him for 40 million, which is very low. I wouldn't sell him for 40 million. We're in a good position because he doesn't have that much of a big salary, so the new club won't have to have problems that we have had with the other players like Sancho. Trying to get rid of Sancho, trying to get rid of even Anthony has been a very big problem because they are on high wages. I think they are from 200,000 pounds a week from with Anthony. We also have Jadon Sancho around 250 to 300. Marcus Rashford also on the same. Obviously, their wages have been reduced. Not that we are not in Europe, but they are still hefty for many clubs in outside the Premier League. And even in the Premier League, most clubs would prefer not to pay that amount. The mistakes of the past seems to be haunting us. We still can't be able to offload the players that we need to upload, but we'll try and see how we can change that in due time, and maybe be able to give a good wage structure that enables us to sell players when it's time to sell players without having the kind of power that the players have been given due to these high wages. We can see that has already started with Mbeumo, who has an incentivized pay structure. He has a fixed fee, but the other, what determines how much he will earn is his performance on the pitch, and that is good because it helps us keep the players sharp, keep the players always wanting to perform in order to get even higher wages. On the other thing that we have to look at is that in terms of Sesko, Sesko is available at 60.6 million. And at 60.6 million, we can be able to do a deal with Leipzig. We also have the advantage of Christopher Vivel, who works in our recruitment, has a good relationship with the RB group, and he can be able to lead the negotiations with the RB Leipzig, and hopefully we can be able to have a faster process as compared to the 7 weeks we took for Beumo. Obviously, the club wants to change its image in the market. We have had a very bad market, especially with the likes of Ed Woodward and John Motor, who destroyed our negotiation tactics in the market, because they tend to they usually overpaid for players, and on top of overpaying for players, they usually always got the higher wages even for unproven players. So we are looking to change that by offering only those wages that are in line with our structure, and only offering a fee that we feel is the real value of the players in the market. We look at players like Madueke recently went for 52 million pounds. We look at players like Elanga, 55 million. So a player like Mbeumo, getting Mbeumo for 71 million, that's a good rate, because it shows that we were able to get a player at fairly good level market value. So on the other news, we have Mourinho. Mourinho had was talking about Amorim. You can tell the reports today, he was discussing the comparisons between his time at Man United and Amorim's time at Man United. One of the things that he pointed out is that Amorim has had the worst Manchester United team, but the board are still willing to back him. So he points out that today, I think the change of ownership, which doesn't have a lot of football experience but knows sports, it brings more sensitivity compared to my own experience when I was at the club. What happened to Ruben Amorim is that he's been the coach of the worst Manchester in Premier League history and still has the confidence of the board to continue, which is already a sign that a lot of things are changing at the club. We see there's something that's changing at the club. There is a willingness to give patience. You know, Amorim is an in-use project. He's the first manager that they appointed, so they are going to be patient with him. They have not properly backed him in the window, because we needed like around 6 players, in my opinion. I think we needed a striker, some tens. We needed a midfielder. We needed a goalkeeper, possibly a fullback, and even a centre back if we would have been able to do so. But most of our signings would have depended with the sales we've made, so we have not been able to do that. But we'll keep on changing season by season. At the end of this season, we are going to have some players who are leaving the club, the likes of Casemiro, and then we can be able to sign other players to replace them. So it's going to be a process. It's not going to be something that is instant. But as Man United fans, we want to see season by season improvement, so that we can continue to get going back to the glory days. It's been such a long time of his management, and it's going to take time to complete to resolve all the problems that we have had over the last 12 years or so. And we hope that the Ineos and the new management team know what they are doing, because we have very little room for error. So Mourinho also said, we all agree that Amorim is a coach with great potential and a strong personality. I think he has great potential to do great work. And I agree with Mourinho what he said. Most of the managers from around Moyes all the way to Amorim have not been properly backed. We had a tendency of getting a manager his third, fourth, fifth choice transfer targets, and it has grown to a point where we have so many players that are average in the team. We need better players. We need players that who can elevate the level of Man United, and that's why I'm excited about the Cunha and Bemo signings, because they instantly elevate Man United, because they are Premier League proven. They'll get their feet running immediately. They'll be able to change things within the club almost immediately, and that's a good thing, because we have the likes of Moto and Ed Woodward. tended to shy from negotiations, and so they went for the cheaper options or players in other leagues who could not be as expensive but be able to do a job. But once they got to the Premier League, they couldn't adapt well enough. We seem to have changed tact and we are going for Premier League proven players and players who have the highest bar in terms of players like we have been linked with the likes of Gyökeres, the likes of Sesko, Mateta, Watkins. All those players are players who can be able to handle the Premier League. Unlike we don't know much about Sesko and how he'll adapt, but the likes of Mateta, the likes of Watkins, the likes of Cunha, Mbeumo are all players that have shown that they can handle the Premier League. So hopefully we can get one good signing in a striker who can complete our attack. We will also need a midfielder. So far, the news today are linking us to Javi Garcia, which is not that believable because it's an agent thing trying to push Valencia to offer better terms on the contract. He has rejected just the recently offered contract, and one of the things that we have realized is that people like to use the Man Utd name in order to get better contracts and to get better offers in their clubs, in their former clubs. So that's one of the things that we have to consider. Some of these reports, especially the Spanish reports, they might be just the Spanish more for Massa and uh, other big paper talk. It's all about trying to get the agent trying to use the papers to try to get a better deal for the client. All the same, it's a good deal for 22 million, and he has proven that he can be able to handle the top level. As you can see, only Pedri and Jude Bellingham had more percentage of effectiveness in their tackles and in their take-ons than Javi Garcia. For Mbeumo, there was also an update. According to Fabrizio, the dream for Mbeumo was only Manchester United, and he decided to wait for them. For him, there was no plan C or B, only United. And this is the kind of players that we need. We are looking for players who really want to play for the club, unlike the mercenaries who probably just come for a payday. And once they get their payday, they don't have any other motivation to keep working. So the likes of Mbeumo, who are really determined to play for Man United, you can see that Man United was saying Brentford wanted him to sign for other clubs like Newcastle, Tottenham, and they kept changing the the fee that they wanted to. At one point they wanted it to be 70 plus 7 million pounds, but the final fee that was agreed is a decent fee, and if he can replicate the same season that he had at Brentford, then we'll have a good player on our hands. So hopefully we'll keep bringing you news as we receive them, and can keep on this channel growing. Please subscribe and use the like button. So let's grow. It's a first of hopefully many videos that we'll be doing on a daily basis. And let's talk about Man United. Good night.